Recall that given two subspaces u1 and u2 of a vector space V, u1 union u2 need not be a subspace. It is some subset of the vector space V. Therefore, we decided to look at the smallest subspace of V that contains u1 union u2. And this smallest subspace was called u1 plus u2, the sum of the two vector subspaces. This example illustrated that if you have a subset S of V, as we are interested in the linear structure, it makes sense to talk about the smallest subspace that contains S. Once we understand this, it makes sense to look at other examples of this phenomenon. Namely, we take a set S and we look at the smallest subspace of V that contains S. And perhaps it's a good idea to start with some simple examples. Namely, we can consider finite subsets. Even more simple, we can first start with a singleton set, then go to a set that contains two elements, and so on. Let us start with a concrete example. So we start with a vector space R2 and we look at a set which is the singleton set 1, 0. And then we are interested in the smallest subspace that contains S. Recall that a vector subspace is closed under addition, vector addition, and scalar multiplication. As it is closed under scalar multiplication, C into 1, 0 belongs to the smallest subspace. In other words, C, 0 belongs to this subspace for all real numbers C. In other words, the smallest subspace contains all elements of the form C, 0 such that C is a real number. Now the question is this a vector subspace? And we already know that yes, this is an example of a vector subspace. Therefore, the smallest subspace that contains S is equal to the set of all C, 0 such that C belongs to R. More generally, if V is a vector space over a field F and small v is a vector in V, then all scalar multiples of this vector V forms a subspace. Therefore, if S is a singleton set V, then the smallest subspace containing S is equal to the set of all CV such that C belongs to F. Now notice that it is difficult to keep saying smallest subspace containing S, and especially it's even more difficult to write it every time. Therefore, we will introduce a notation for this. We will denote this as angle bracket S. From now on, angle bracket S will mean the smallest subspace containing S. And we observed that angle bracket of singleton set V is equal to the set of all CV such that C belongs to capital F. Let us now consider a set that contains two elements. Let these two elements be V1 and V2. And now we are going to consider the smallest subspace that contains S. As a subspace is closed under scalar multiplication, we know that C1 V1 belongs to this subspace. And for the same reason, we know that C2 V2 belongs to the subspace. But as soon as we know that C1 V1 and C2 V2 belongs, as a subspace is closed under vector addition, we know that C1 V1 plus C2 V2 has to belong to the subspace. Now notice once again that the set of all C1 V1 plus C2 V2 such that Ci belongs to F is a subspace. Let us go through a proof to see that this is indeed the case. First, we will show that this set is closed under scalar multiplication. So what do we have to show that this set is closed under scalar multiplication? I take an arbitrary element y in the set of all C1 V1 plus C2 V2 such that Ci belongs to F. Then as y belongs to this set, y is equal to C1 V1 plus C2 V2. Therefore, alpha times y is equal to alpha times C1 V1 plus C2 V2, which by distributivity is equal to alpha times C1 V1 plus alpha times C2 V2. Now, another property of scalar multiplication implied that this is equal to alpha times C1 into V1 plus alpha times C2 into V2. Now notice that once again this is of the form of elements in the set. Why? Because we can denote alpha C1 as C1 dash and alpha C2 as C2 dash. And as C1 dash and C2 dash are elements of F, C1 dash V1 plus C2 dash V2 belongs to this set. And this proves that our set is closed under scalar multiplication. Let us now similarly prove that this set is closed under vector addition. To show that this set is closed under vector addition, we take two arbitrary elements x and y from the set, and notice that as it belongs to the set, we can write x is equal to C1 V1 plus C2 V2 and y is equal to d1 V1 plus d2 V2 for some scalar C1 C2 d1 d2 from F. Therefore, we can represent x plus y as C1 V1 plus C2 V2 plus d1 V1 plus d2 V2. Now we treat d1 V1 plus d2 V2 as one vector and consider this entire sum as sum of three vectors and apply associativity. Then you will get that this is equal to C1 V1 plus C2 V2 plus d1 V1 plus d2 V2. Now we restrict our attention to these three vectors and apply associativity to this sum. Then we can rewrite this as C2 V2 plus d1 V1 plus d2 V2. Now we focus our attention to this sum C2 V2 plus d1 V1 and apply commutativity of vector addition. Therefore, we can rewrite this as d1 V1 plus C2 V2. Now we focus our attention to the sum of these three vectors and apply associativity. Then we will get d1 V1 plus C2 V2 plus d2 V2. Again, you treat C2 V2 plus d2 V2 as one vector and consider the sum of these three vectors. Applying associativity, we will get that this is equal to C1 V1 plus d1 V1 plus C2 V2 plus d2 V2. By distributivity, C1 V1 plus d1 V1 is equal to C1 plus d1 into V1 and C2 V2 plus d2 V2 is equal to C2 plus d2 into V2. And notice that this element belongs to our set, the set of all C1 V1 plus C2 V2 such that Ci belongs to capital F. Thus, we have proved that this set is closed under vector addition as well. Now there is one thing left to prove, namely that this set has the additive identity. That is easy to see. How do we see this? We take C1 is equal to 0, the additive identity of the field F, and that is equal to C2. If you take this, then C1 V1 plus C2 V2 is equal to 0 into V1 plus 0 into V2. Now we have seen that 0 into any vector is equal to 0. Therefore, 0 V1 is equal to 0 and 0 V2 is also the 0 element of the vector space. And 0 element plus 0 element is the 0 element itself in the vector space. Thus, C1 V1 plus C2 V2 is the 0 element of the vector space if C1 and C2 are both the 0 element of the field F. And thus this set has the additive identity as well. As the set is closed under scalar multiplication, closed under vector addition, and has the additive identity, we can conclude that this set is a vector subspace. Now we can generalize this to n elements. Suppose our set S contains n elements v1, v2, v3, etc. up to vn. Then the smallest subspace that contains S will contain all combinations C1 V1 plus C2 V2 plus etc. up to Cn Vn, where Ci belongs to F. Notice I have used a new terminology. A sum of the form C1 V1 plus C2 V2 plus etc. up to Cn Vn is called a linear combination of the vectors V1, V2, V3 etc. up to Vn. Another terminology that I would like to introduce at this point is a name for the smallest subspace that contains V1, V2 etc. up to Vn. This subspace is called the span of vectors V1 to Vn. And it is denoted as span of V1, V2, etc. up to Vn. We might use one of these two notations interchangeably. Let us now look at some examples. Let V be the vector space R2 and consider vectors V1 is equal to 1, 0, V2 is equal to 0, 1, V3 is equal to 2, 0, V4 is equal to 1, 1 and V5 is equal to 1, minus 1. And first let us try to understand span of each of these individual vectors. So let us see what is span of V1. Span of V1 is just the set of all C, 0 such that C is a real number. In other words, this is the x-axis. Now let us try to see what is the relation of this geometrically. Notice that the point 1, 0 is this point, right? 1, 0. And the span of this vector is nothing but the x-axis. Similarly, span of V2 is equal to the set of all 0, C such that C belongs to R. Once again, let's try to see this geometrically. The point 0, 1 is this point and the span is the y-axis. Correct? Now let's try to see what is span of V3. Span of V3 is equal to set of all 2C, 0 such that C belongs to R. But the set of all 2C, 0 is same as set of all C, 0. So once again, this vector subspace is the x-axis. Let's just point out where 2, 0 belongs. 2, 0 is here. Now, if we consider the point 1, 1 that belongs here, and if you look at the span contains the set of all C, C. That is, the line y is equal to x. Correct? Span of V4 is equal to set of all C, C such that C belongs to R. Now let us look at the point 1, minus 1. Where does the point 1, minus 1 belong? It is here. And the span of V5 is equal to the set of all C, minus C such that C belongs to R. This is the line y is equal to minus x. That is this line. Now notice something common. In all these cases, it was very easy to find the span of these vectors. The span was basically the line that passes through origin and that vector. Now we understand geometrically the meaning of span of a vector. Now notice that span of V1 was the line joining origin and V1, and V3 belongs to this line. Therefore, the span of V3, which is the line joining V3 and origin, is equal to the span of V1, which is the line joining V1 and origin, as any line is determined by just 2 points. And algebraically, this happens precisely because V3 is a scalar multiple of V1, or in other words, V1 is a scalar multiple of V3. This is something you have to understand. Now you can also look at span of two vectors. For instance, we can look at span of V1 comma V3. This once again is just the x-axis, or in other words, it's the set of all c comma 0 such that c belongs to R. On the other hand, if you look at the span of V1 comma V2, this is equal to the set of all c comma d such that c and d both are real numbers. Now this is the entire R2. As we geometrically understood what the span of one vector is, it is clear to us that span of one vector cannot be entire R2, but there exists at least one collection of two vectors such that the span of these two vectors is equal to entire R2. And this 2 is related to the 2 in R2. And this is something you should ponder about. And I will end this video with another question. What is the smallest value of n such that span of V1 to Vn is equal to R3? Once again, we can also generalize it even further. What would be this value n if suppose you had taken Rk instead of R3? These are questions that you should ponder about, and these questions will guide a lot of what is to follow.